Good evening and welcome to the Pioneer Valley Regional School District School Committee meeting on Thursday, January 22nd. It is 6:05 and I'm calling the meeting to order. Do we have any citizens' comments? Okay, Anne.
So, in the past month, there have been, I meet a first grader coming off the bus. So, the bus company is almost impossible to reach. And in the past, I used to be able to call the dispatcher and say, I have a problem, I'm not gonna make it to the bus, but I could be there by the time you come back on the back loop. Anyhow, and I waited at one point for half an hour to try, and I never did reach a person. And so they left a first grader. They left her off without making sure there was an adult there. The first time it happened, it was my fault. I wasn't there. I couldn't get there in time, and that's why I tried to call the bus company. But they shouldn't have left her off. It's possible there was a car in the driveway, so they might have thought there was somebody home. The second time, they dropped two children off because the one up the road said, "Oh, I'm sleeping over," but there was no note, there was no nothing. And fortunately, Eliana's dad was there and was able to take the child to the proper home. And then last week, was it last week? Just recently anyway, I was on my way. The bus dropped Eliana off 15 minutes early, and fortunately, Jackson was on his way up the street from getting dropped off from middle school, so he was able to yell at her, and because he could see my car wasn't there yet, and there were no cars in the driveway, so it was clear there was nobody there. So I still haven't been able to reach the bus company. I've tried to call 3 times, and it keeps saying leave a message, but you can't even leave a message. And I know that Eliana's mom spoke to the bus company, and they said each school district has their own policy. We only have a policy for Pioneer that says kindergartners can't be dropped off if there's no parent there. So I don't know if there really is a policy,
Okay.
but I would like the policy committee to kind of look into that. And I'm planning to go over to Kuzmeskis myself and have a chat with them, because it used to be very easy. I used to meet the bus in Coleraine on Shelburne Summit Road, and I could always reach a dispatcher, and I could always radio. Like one time I was in a car accident, and I knew I was going to be late. I was like, I'm coming, I'm almost there, Mm-hmm. So it used to be really easy to meet, to get hold of the bus company and a dispatcher. It is not anymore. And I have heard rumors that they changed hands and they're no longer like the family-run organization they used to be, but I think that's a real safety concern, that you can't reach them. And I've tried calling the school bus line and the regular line, and I have never yet in the last 2 weeks gotten through to a person. So I know it's possible to get through, but anyway, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Anne. Anything else? Okay. All right, so we are going to go right into our annual audit. I'm going to welcome Tom Scanlon to come up to the microphone. Welcome, good to see you again.
It's good to see you, everyone. It's cold out.
Yep, it's cold out. It's cold out.
It's gonna be colder too.
Yeah.
For no one knows who I am, I'm Tom Scanlon. I'm the managing partner at Scanlon Associates. I think this is our 4th year doing the audit, if I'm not mistaken. Just a couple of notes. You should have 3 reports in front of you. They got the financial statements, the single audit, and the governance letter. Just as like general comments about the audit went very well. We gave no significant adjustments to your financial statements. Do really a great job maintaining a ledger and being financial accountable. What I mean by that is the transaction happens in your system, it's going to the right accounts on your GL.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
Sorry.
Thought I was hearing things for a little bit.
Yep, I can hear you, Jen. Can you hear us?
Okay,
That's okay.
I just clicked on the calendar invite again, and it says.
Sorry, Tom.
I thought I had it.
It's Jen. Regan. Oh.
You know what? If that's the worst thing that happens to me today, I'm doing pretty good.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
That's the way you gotta look at it.
Correct.
The world we live in today.
Yes.
One day forward.
It's okay, we can just dwell on the last sentence, which was something like, great job. General ledger was excellent.
I can end there.
Thanks, Tom. Good, nice to see you.
Yeah. Okay, you can continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the audit went very well. In case you didn't know it, you had a change in business directors, and thought that went very smoothly. I know Jordan was here for most of the year, and it was more his year. But we did a lot of subsequent testing, and we feel like it went very smoothly. So that's good. I know the year-end closing coming up, so I know Taffy's probably got some work cut out for her on being her first closing, but I don't anticipate any issues going forward. So that's good. We gave no adjustments to the GL that were significant. Like I said, what we do is we opine on your financial statements. So what we kind of do, we don't do a forensic audit. I know it's a big term out there right now. What we do, we're doing a financial statement audit, and we look at your controls. So one of your key controls is cash reconciliations. Your cash is being reconciled on a monthly basis, which is great. You have a warrant process where it's signed out on the warrants, the bills come in, they get posted to the GL. So there's controls over your expenditures. When they leave your bank, the check register is being checked to the warrants. So there's not anything leaving your bank that you're not signing off of. And that's one thing we check is, hey, you got controls in place. Those are your key controls over payroll. And then the other thing is revenues. As revenue comes in, if you get a grant, you don't want a grant being reported to your general fund and become part of your E&D. Because obviously E&D is very important. It's a key number you help fund your budget. So you're paying attention to E&D and you're using it. So that's key for us. So as you get a grant, we want to make sure it's going to your special revenue funds. And then the revenue is not just sitting there, the expenditures are going there. So when you look at your financial statements, they are pretty boring, which boring is great from my perspective. You don't have a lot of deficits, and if you turn to the back schedule in the financial statements whenever you have time, you'll kind of see that back there. Those are your special revenue funds. You got your grants, your revolving funds. You don't see any deficits out there. Like your grants, you don't see a buildup of grant. You don't get like the ESSER grant doesn't come in for $200,000. It's still sitting there at June 30th. You're seeing it clear out. Your largest revolving funds, that's the largest one in there on that back page. Your school choice, when you look at that's a major fund, your financial statements, you did use more than what you took in. That's really the first year. The previous 2 years, I think, around 45,000 the year before. So that's kind of the climate you're in. You don't want to get in the habit of keep on doing that. But I think you have 1.1 million of school choice. I think it's your fund balance at June 30th. Going from my memory, with two daughters in college, my memory's not as kind of goes. So, like I said, your financial statements, they're boring, which is good. Not deficits. It's a nice audit. And these statements are draft, and the reason why they're draft is because we need the county's report to be final. That passes down to you, and the county retirement is the retirement. When you look at your first two governments are weird. They have actually two sets of financial statements. They have a thing called entity-wide, which is your first two, and you'll see in there you have depreciation, which you don't factor in depreciation when you budget. It has all your liabilities in there. Your two big liabilities are your pension liability, which is just the county non-teachers because the state owns the teachers, and then your OPEB. And OPEB is your other post-employment benefits, which is the promise to pay of your health insurance. And don't know that number. So your OPEB liability is at 19 million. I don't know if it's reality is probably not 19 million. You're probably not going to fund a liability overnight on 19 million, but it's not zero either. It is a promise you made to your employees to pay for their health insurance. Where, and this is just my opinion, how you manage OPEB is, do you have multiple positions getting health care for instance, we have a town out east where their chief of police's position, they have 6 retirees plus 1 active. When you look at that health insurance cost for that one position, it's close to like $200,000. That's an OPEB problem. So there's some districts that are adopting OPEB trust funds. You have not adopted an OPEB trust. I don't know if I would. It's not hurting you. Like if you're going into the bond market, bond rating agencies will look at you. So if you're not going to be issuing bonds anytime soon, given you said that, I believe you have an MSBA project coming up, or you're in the pipeline to get one. So you might be in the bond market. But again, I don't think it's going to hurt you not having an OPEB trust. But really, in the back of your mind, when you're setting your budgets every year, health insurance, which I'm sure it's on your forefront of your minds, that's where you should focus on OPEB. Is that growing? Do we have retirees? What does our retirees cost in that health insurance number? And it's really OPEB's long-term thinking. That's just my opinion. I would say with school districts, I think it's more probably on the education side, you're putting your money more than putting $500,000 a year into an OPEB trust for future retirees costs. Again, my opinion. But again, I think accountability-wise, general ledger maintenance, you do a good job.
Great.
I don't know if anyone has any questions about me, what we do. We as a firm, our focus is on really cash reconciliation. So we spend a lot of time at the bank statement level looking at your reconciling items to make sure it's being balanced. That's your controls, because that's your number one asset, right? When you look at your balance sheet, cash and investments, and you want controls over that. Want to make sure funds aren't leaving your bank account without the proper approval process, and you also know the revenue coming in. So your larger revenues are member assessments. So do a lot of testing in that area to say, okay, this is what your bill towns did it come in, and also intergovernmental revenue, making sure that's ending up in the right fund. So we get a report from the state that tells us what they wired into you for all state funds, grants, Chapter 70, and we use that report. We kind of trace it off to your ledger, making sure all those are in there. So we're getting, so when you look at your financial statements and you look under unassigned fund balance in the general fund, that should be your E&D, and it is. The difference is the state penalizes you. They reduced your E&D. They're conservative, so if you don't get receipts in within the next 90 days, they penalize you. But your largest reduction is inventory for school lunch. I do not know why the state reduces your E&D for that, because inventory is an asset. But they look at it as it's really a deficit sitting there. But again, your school lunch fund has $190,000 in it, and your inventory is $16,000. That's something they're not going to change, so you kind of have to live with that reduction every year. And that's the other thing I encourage on the school committee is look at the way your E&D is calculated. Those penalties are on there. When you look on that, that can be a signal that something is going wrong. Again, when you look, I think your total reductions were $18,000. The school lunch was $16,000. So again, I would encourage that. But overall, it's a nice audit from my perspective. So, and again, we're available throughout the whole year. We encourage Taffy and Patricia to reach out to us if there's any concerns, they have any questions. Governments are operating in a crazy environment right now. Between are you going to have funding, not funding? That's a big thing going forward. The areas you see the governance letter, there's a couple bullet points in there that takes place of the management letter we had in prior years.
Okay.
That kind of tells you kind of what we do. We gave no adjustments, but there's 4 bullet points on the bottom of page 2. There are things that we discussed with the district. The 2 main ones are student activity funds. So student activities going forward, I think DESI's going to play more of a role, and they're looking at them a lot closely. So they are part of the audit, but I call them a secondary out there in the special revenue fund. So we do a lot of analytics with them. Do we see, like, compared to last year, is there a dip? Did they increase, they decrease? We look at the bank reconciliations. If there's nothing more that catches our eye in analytics, we don't take that next step down. So your student activities, and it goes for every school district, they're almost like a secondary check at the end of the year. You want to close out your grants, you want to close out your general fund because you're getting your E&D certified. The reconciliation process probably takes a back seat to all the other reconciliations because they kind of operate on their own. They're more at the student level function. Again, so as part of the audit, we look at things, nothing caught our eye. I have no major issues in them, but we're just telling the school district is DESI's going to be looking at them, and they've been encouraging to do these agreed upon procedures. The separate engagement outside the audit that goes deeper into student activities. I don't think the district really needs that, but they are pushing that. It's kind of like the end of year report engagements, a separate engagement. So those are things we discussed, is maybe incorporating the just improving the year-end process and reconciliation of the student activity funds. You don't have an issue of just saying just make it to the forefront, because I believe it's going to be on DESI's end-of-year checklist next year. I'm pretty sure. And then the other two is there's 2 new GASB pronouncements out there. We just wanted you to be aware of them. One's compensated absences. You don't have a big buyback policy for sick here in the district, so I don't think it really applies to you. But if you were to make decisions on teachers' contracts that you're going to implement that, then you would have to have another control in place to track that. And then leases. If you get into leasing, like leasing equipment or leasing other school buildings off property, they're going to have to be disclosed on your financial statements. So that's more of accounting functions. That's not really too exciting stuff. So it's more informational items. And then, I don't know, I'm all done with my spiel, I think.
Does anyone have any questions? Yeah.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and thanks to all involved in the school district level who make an audit like this possible.
Yeah.
A favorable audit. Just briefly, if it's okay, in your work with other districts,
Yep.
Are there lessons learned that you, either for good or for ill, that you think are happening in other districts, that there are hazards we should be aware of, or things that you think are other districts are doing especially well that we could learn from?
Yeah, like financial, like wise. Yeah, there's things we talk with Taffy
Okay,
and Tricia
very
about.
good.
Yeah,
I don't
we
mean to
definitely
get into the
there's
details.
yeah, and there's just like the student activities, like coming down, like okay, just putting a shot above the ball, like saying we try to stay ahead of the barking dogs, you know.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Great. Anything else? Okay.
Think
All
we're good?
right. We're all set.
Tom,
Thank you so much, Tom.
Yeah, no.
Thank you.
And in case you didn't know, it's supposed to snow Sunday.
Really?
Yeah. Just in case you didn't know.
Thanks so much. All right, so approval of minutes for December 11th. All right. Corrections. Yes?
I have just one on page 3, top line. And I said to Anne as I came in, nice job on these minutes. There were a number of complicated concepts with many details, and I thought Ms. Harding captured them accurately and succinctly, so thank you and kudos. Top line of page 3, the likely cost of a feasibility study, $1 million to $1.2 million overall, with an ultimate cost of approximately $507,000 to the district after MSBA reimbursement.
Okay, anything else? Okay, I would accept a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
So moved?
Okay, and Sharon is here with us, so we have to do roll call.
Melissa Osborne, yes.
Raina Dastu, yes.
Gretchen Kelton, yes.
Stephen Martin, yes.
Sharon?
Sharon, yes.
Thank you, and Melissa, yes. Okay, great, thank you. Reports. So student reports. This evening, we have Clay with us. Do you have anything to share?
Other than midterms
Uh-huh.
going on and giving us all trouble, I would say no.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I do not have a chair report this evening. Superintendent?
I will do a brief report. I wanted to give a shout out to many of our teams. As everyone knows, there was a good-sized power outage last week on both sides of the Connecticut River. And it fried a few things here. It fried that's my highly technical, I know nothing. I'm scared of electricity. It fried the electrical panel that interacts with the well pump. And so I think there was electricity going one place, but it wasn't doing the right thing. And don't you know, Taffy led the charge with Miss Licata, our director of facilities, who they got the gentleman who designed that electrical panel 20-something years ago, who's now retired in Florida, on the phone with the electrician who was here, and he talked the in-person electrician through the panel, and they together came up with possible pathways to solving the crisis. So nice job.
Well done.
Mrs. Bassett Fox, nice job, Ms. Licata. Really nice job to everyone. It's I think in my years here, there have been only a few times when we have opened school for the day and had to shut school for the day. This was one of those, and marvelous job communications by the school to families. I don't think that we got a single angry or concerned call from a family about, I don't know what my child is doing. Families were wonderful. So this is what happens when we have good teams that back each other up and communicate. So thank you to everybody. We are in the midst of outreach for next year's 7th grade. Vernon received a whole bunch of really nice paper packets. Principal Mary Ross very kindly agreed to get address labels on them. We pre-metered the postage, so every 6th grade student in Vernon is receiving a paper packet with all kinds of nice stuff, including a free family ticket to an upcoming game at Pioneer and a free family ticket to the spring musical.
Great.
And Principal Ross has also agreed to send out an email to all the families with a link to electronic versions of everything. We're sending similar packets up to Warwick, and we will see about getting, no, we won't send them up to Winchester because they are 9th grade. We had a meeting with Kosmeskis, our transportation vendor. We asked Taffy, I think Taffy is the person, Taffy does so much. Let's just face it. Talk about jumping in with both feet and doing a wonderful job. Taffy spoke with all the principals and gathered information from them about any concerns that they had, and Ms. Parlaklash from the special ed end. Vanpool was bought by the parent company that bought Kosmeskis. So our special ed and special needs transportation are now under the same parent company. We had a really productive meeting with 2 Kosmeskis administrators. We talked through, frankly, our concerns around communication, around bus equipment. We had previously asked them if they would consider putting, what is the name of those chains? They drop down automatically and they go like this under the tire.
Under the tires.
Like stop them.
What's that?
Like stop them.
No, it instead of, you know how you can put chains on the tire? This is a gizmo, drop chains, where you press a button inside and a mechanism drops down and makes chains go like this. And so as the tire is going underneath it, check that out.
Very good.
We asked, not happening for this year, but they have put in a request for our buses, our big buses, to have them for next year. Our bus that goes up Fox Hill Road, our big bus up in Leiden, our bus that goes on Gulf
Mountain.
Yes, that would help. They did get a 4-wheel drive small bus for the Leiden route. We shared concerns about communication with them, and they are having trouble hiring people. I learned something that I think is worth sharing. A bus driver needs to complete 60 hours of training before their paperwork can even begin to go through, and Kosmeskis has buses available for that training only between the hours of 9 and 1 because their buses are in use. So it means there are multiple weeks required for training, and then people have to do other things. So they are recruiting. They have been short-staffed, and some of their administrators have had to be out driving buses. So we have been very clear about our concerns, and we are good partners with them. It was a
productive and it was a good conversation.
It was a good conversation. Lastly, I attended the Midwinter Superintendent Gathering today in Marlborough. Former Secretary of Education Cardona was a speaker. Some very interesting, bye Clay, thank you for being here. Some very interesting data about superintendent retention and differences in gender in terms of what happens when there are tricky political situations. Turns out women don't fare as well as men superintendents in those situations. More importantly, there was a gathering of rural superintendents with Mary Burke, president of MASS. More communications to come, but so many people are trying to organize rural school districts and the towns they serve to advocate with the state for improved funding. I drafted a letter that was edited asking the governor to please put back the $4 million in rural aid that was chopped by the legislature. If we had full funding from rural aid, with our current student numbers, we would be getting about $1.2 or $1.3 million extra per year. 1.3 million extra per year if rural funding were fully funded by, rural aid were fully funded by the legislature. So more to come on that.
Thank you. All right, Director of Finance and Operations.
So the first piece that's on my memo is a budget planning update, and I can put that off till later in the agenda where that is.
Okay.
I'm not going to read through the entire report, but you have expenditure and revenue summary. And I do want to touch on the lunch report. So this month of December, we had $3,526 loss. The overall loss for the entire fiscal year is $16,972.15. So I just want to.
Yeah.
I just want to give some clarity on that. So we had the food services had some equipment that needed to be fixed. We had a freezer of 56 years that broke and needed to be replaced. I didn't argue with that one.
56 years.
56 years. Yes.
Is it an ice machine? Is it
Yeah. Ice Age.
locked over?
And then there were some personnel situations where we needed to use more substitutes. So that was extra money. And then the last report I gave, I mentioned that we had $15,000 that we took from food service to put on the general fund for custodial services. So that's what's coming up. But we are having really great participation in our programs. We've got 75% of Bernardston has lunch. Northfield has 70% and Pioneer has 82%.
That's really good.
Which is really, really good. And because our local foods funding was cut, we are relying more on government food, which is cheaper. And it's really, Cheryl's not happy about that, but she's doing the best she can. Absolutely, she's wonderful. She's absolutely great.
Yeah.
The next piece is Grant's quarterly report. Again, I won't go through all these. You're welcome to run through them. And it's just, you're looking at the allocation and the current balance. And you will see that some of the balances are still part of the allocation. And this is part of the job that I am still learning about with my mentor. So I don't want there to be any concern over that. Just a matter of applying to lines, and that's it. Are there any questions? Absolutely.
On page 2, the last item in the annually awarded grants, I might switch that over to single year. It's not annual. That's the
fair share.
The fair share funding. That's a one-time grant. And Taffy worked with the state and the state gave us approval to have a change deadline. The initial deadline was to spend that money by this July 1. That's not going to happen. We got an extra year.
Sweet.
So we have 18 more months. Is that
Great.
correct? Yeah. 28, FY 28. No, more than 18 months. I'm not counting. Great.
Can I just ask a question or a comment about the Playful Learning Grant? Could you speak a little bit more about the?
Okay, yeah. Because did I send you that award? Yeah, so the Playful Learning Initiative is a project led by the state, and we can have Mrs. Keir talk about it because she's been in this now for 3 years, to help infuse joyous, purposeful learning into our early education classrooms, and that includes pre-K through grade 3, and there's discussion of bringing it up even higher, which I think many of us would love. So it funds some of the goodies, like blocks and furniture and materials that help promote learning, and it also provides ongoing professional learning opportunities, including some conferences, coaches who've come out here. You've heard that, we showed Mrs. Keir on the screen over there a few meetings ago. They were back in town. When the Boston Globe reporter was here, we were in Jen Comiskey's room. Her room got crowded. We're there with the reporter, and then in comes Playful Learning with their videographer, and then someone else watching. We had people from them a few days. So we are one of only 4 districts in the Commonwealth that got funding for a 3rd year. And there's discussion about what can we do to extend it. But Mrs. Keir, would you be willing to share your experience?
Yeah, so we were able to come in I think other districts we didn't come in on the ground level, like that wouldn't be true to say, but we came in maybe 2nd year implementation. And it's been really gratifying to work with our colleagues across the state. There's other districts involved, but also to be able to take time with our own colleagues, like just even across the river, and talk about the essence of what play means for children and how important it is and how it's really the work of childhood. And so with the money, we were able to get the suits that let us come in and outside regularly. We had some loose parts added to our outdoor play, which is amazing to watch. Just today, there were kids making snowballs so big that they couldn't move them, so they were making ramps with some of the loose pieces of wood to like roll them up. We have them making their own seesaws. It's just really fun to watch. We have the wonderful playground in Bernardston for an example out front, but when they're out back in our courtyard, we call it, the play just takes on a whole different purpose and interest for them, and they look forward to using both spaces, so we're really fortunate. And I, like Patricia said, was able to get more stuff. Like in my early career, I had to go to Kidder's and ask them for a remnant and pay for the binding on the rug to have a rug in my classroom, because we worked on a scarcity model for quite some time. But to be able to have rugs and big blocks and animals and all the things, it's been amazing. And listening and feedback is part of the program, and so to have kids thoughtfully reflect on their work and inspire other children and realize that that's really how you learn from each other. It builds the community in a way that other curriculums aren't able to access. And for me, it gets the kids in the living room, and I can't teach them, I can't sell the vacuum unless they're in the living room. And so for me, that's what I tell everybody who asks me about it, is it allows me to be in the living room with them selling the vacuum, and seeing the learning and having it be a two-way street.
That's great.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I
We're there.
knowing what I knew about the grant, I wanted to make sure that we highlighted that, because I think it's so exciting to think about. It brings a lot of joy to the learning process, especially in those early years. School becomes fun, and that carries over, and that there's potential for bringing that to the upper grades as well, so that they can continue to enjoy learning and having, and we learn in all different ways, and we learn every day, and we continue to learn and throughout our lives. And so when you kind of look at that,
And there's a storytelling component that I really like, because young children don't have the capacity to write over pages, but they are happy to tell their stories and share them with others, and then to see the excitement in others about their story. And isn't it all what we want, is to tell our story as adults and children and a community. So it's got a lot of really thoughtful components that help the teachers do their best work.
It's wonderful.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Miss Lindsay Skelton, teacher at BES, presented on her playful learning work at a statewide gathering a week
Nice.
ago.
Lovely.
Great. So is that?
I have one more.
Yeah. Okay.
One more piece. We have a contract that requires school committee approval. And just to give a little bit of explanation here, this is, it's to replace obsolete fire panels here.
We're
at
going
Pioneer.
right to business A. Okay. Yep, I'm following you.
Oh,
We're
okay.
jumping right into business A. I was like, what? Where's that one?
Okay. I
Got it.
gotcha. Okay. And I just want to make it clear that our fire panels here work. These are just obsolete and they need to be replaced. They're in the middle school entrance, media storage center, and the remote, and I cannot pronounce that word, in the main entrance lobby. It's for $54,478. Your school committee procurement policy requires that contracts exceeding $50,000 need to come before school committee. And you'll note in the memo, it talks about the fact that the policy is out of date. Procurement laws have changed, where the threshold now is $100,000. So we really would only need to go out for quotes for this. But because it is the policy, we wanted to bring it here for approval. Once it is approved, it'll go to the commissioner, who then approves it, and the work is scheduled to be done over February break.
Great.
Okay. All right. So I would accept a motion to approve the Encore Fire Protection Contract allowing replacement of the currently obsolete fire alarm panels at PVRS.
So moved?
Second.
Discussion? Okay. Hearing none, we can vote.
Melissa Osborne, yes.
Raina Dastu, yes?
Gretchen Kelton, yes.
Stephen Martin, yes.
Sharon? Okay, Sharon, yes. And Melissa, yes. Okay, great. Thank you. All right, next, school choice. Proposed seats for next year, 2026, 2027.
Okay, this is a two-part discussion. Tonight is the first part, and so next meeting, you will get the full memo that you get each year, documenting current numbers, prior numbers. To develop an initial recommendation regarding school choice seats for next year, we have sent out a survey to all current school choice families, as we do each year. I think the deadline to get back to us is tomorrow, so we don't have those numbers just yet. They'll be ready for the next meeting. I talked individually with principals, and then we talked as an administrative team together as principals. So you have those numbers in front of you. Sharon, you should have a link to those numbers at home. We've talked several times recently about a good strategic decision the school committee made several years ago to not accept more school choice students at BES, and we have not accepted school choice students at NES since the Warwick transition. When we looked at numbers for next year, we are recommending consideration of opening up more elementary seats. The principals thought carefully about each grade and the students that make up each of those grades, because 20 students in one class could be very different in terms of level of need from students in another class. So, without further ado, you can see, this isn't the cleanest graph, but you can see on this graph the number of students anticipated to be in grades 1 through 6 next year. So the grade 1 next year at BES, we anticipate we'll have 20 students who are currently in kindergarten at BES. These numbers are brought up a year. So the recommendations are no new seats at grade 1, 2 seats at grade 2, no seats at grade 3, And then for 4th, 5th, and 6th, 5, 3, and 4. Some of the numbers that you see here could be a little bit different from the enrollment report you received last meeting because the principals know of kids who might be moving. Or they anticipate kids moving in. They're not here yet, but they believe they're coming next month. So if you see a discrepancy, that's what it's about. So we're recommending consideration of 14 new seats at BES. We are recommending new seats at NES, and as we talked last time, the District Agreement and Community Relations Subcommittee that is reviewing a draft proposal for Warwick for a renewed tuition agreement has proposed to Warwick that the agreement make clear that if there were a Warwick resident student whose family chose to enroll them via school choice at Northfield Elementary School, if that student graduated and wanted to come to Pioneer, that Warwick would agree they would pay the full tuition for that student once they come here, not the $5,000 school choice rate. So very happy to be collaborating with Warwick, the subcommittee on that, and the subcommittee will bring it to the school committee when there's something ready to be discussed with the full committee. At Pioneer, the recommendation is that we open up a whole bunch of seats for grade 7. Now, the 37 number there for kids we anticipate coming up from NES and BES next year for this school, that doesn't include Vernon kids, and it doesn't include new school choice kids. And you'll remember our school choice numbers really blossomed for grade 7 here last year. So know that we anticipate, again, we hope a whole bunch of Vernon kids, maybe a bunch of Gill kids coming up here. Annie has said that if we go above 65 kids a grade in the middle school, we would need to consider adding new teachers and creating new sections, so we are reluctant to do that. We typically, up in the upper grades, don't recommend accepting new students in grade 12. There is a unique circumstance with a former student who might want to come back. And so we are asking school committee to consider opening up 2 seats at the grade 12 level. We don't know, but for the first time we're saying we would ask you to consider that. What else can I tell you?
Did you say anything about reaching out to current families?
Yeah, we've sent the survey. It's their answers are due by tomorrow.
Okay.
I apologize, I should
Yep.
memorize this quickly. But among the current classes, for example, BES 2017, 22, and so on, what is the total number of current school choice seats?
I knew that.
In the aggregate, not for each.
Yep.
But just for BES. Or NES, right?
So for
percent
yeah.
proportion.
BES, we've got 10 school choice students at BES, 2 school choice students at NES. They were kids who came in years ago. They're in 4th and 5th grade. And up here we have 31 school choice students. Gesundheit.
So those numbers would be included in the current.
Those students are
grade
in our
level.
currently enrolled.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Were you?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just appreciate knowing what your conversation was like with the administrators, and it seems like, thankfully, it's an important way to, it's a thoughtful way to think about school
Yeah.
choice, and I'm both grateful, but also if there was any sort of wisdom from that meeting that you thought was.
Well, thoughtful is a good word. We have good principals who know their buildings very well. They say, they'll say, "Oh, kindergarten. Let me think. That's got so and so and so and so and so and so." Oh, and they pull up the clipboard. And, oh, there are 6 IEPs in that room. And there's 2 504s, or there's 11 IEPs in that room. Yeah, no, we're not going to add more. Were you in the admin team conversation? It's I don't know. They are flexible people who want to take care of their buildings and support their educators and manage demand among the classrooms, and they also get it that the district is probably ready to open up more seats and begin bringing in more kids again. Like they heard that. So does that?
That's very helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Renee? Yeah.
Yeah, so I would just like to add on the teacher perspective, is why I sit at the table, obviously. That, again, for historical perspective, we were north of 20 students at Bernardston when the conscious decision was made to put the pause on at Bernardston. We have an excellent location, and a lot of times school choice comes down to location, location, location. So what we were finding is that it was children who come in the upper grades, like if they're coming 4, 5, and 6, they are sometimes struggling with issues in other places, and then they were coming, and we were ready to take that on. But as you can see, we have split grades, and that's really where the capacity is in Bernardston. But those grade levels, overwhelmingly the teachers, when they understood that there was potential more capacity being explored at Bernardston, overwhelmingly feel like that's a large burden to bear for what the needs of our current population. And the reality of the staffing that we have, like we don't have building subs currently. I understand that it's in the new budget, and that's a big question mark if that's going to get through. Title I, there was a conscious decision on the part of the administration. It was what happened, and we work as directed. We went from a 3-person support staff in Title I to 2 professional teachers, which was a conscious choice, and we're on board and we're doing the things, but the reality is there's less bodies to support students. And so, I mean, the overwhelming thought at Bernardston is our classes are at capacity for what we can bear. We will do what we do because that's who we are and why we come to work each day. But we really appreciated the thoughtful decision to back that off at Bernardston, especially where the capacity is at those upper grades. Like it might be one thing if a family was coming in at the kindergarten level and just wanting to seek new opportunities for their 5-year-old. Like it seemed like there was consciously a different thing going on. And I understand the mentality that, you want to fly the aircraft with the full seats. But again, we got to think about the air marshals that are going to be on board those aircrafts, what's going to be needed, the flight attendants, all the things that are going to make that flight successful. So again, I understand this is just in the discussion phase of the game, but I believe that this school committee made a conscious decision to back those numbers off based on the needs that we were seeing in a population that's Franklin County wide. Like it's not just who comes to us. It's like the struggles that families are seeing across the board, like nationwide, really. So what's a reasonable number? And I understand the principals are very thoughtful, and we are all very pleased to have the dream team administrators. That's true. But again, I just want to speak for the teachers who have spoken to me, and I'm here to speak to you. So I just want you to know that it feels like when you see the numbers at Bernardston, the split numbers 16 and 17 on the 4th grade, and 10 at NES. I mean, I can't speak for the NES teachers because they didn't reach out to me. But once we realized this was on the agenda, people have actively sought me out. So I just wanted you to know that.
Thank you. I have a couple of follow-up questions. So I just want to, just so that I better understand. So for BES, the 33 kids currently, those are split into 2 classes?
Mm-hmm.
Right, so 16 and 17, and I guess if my math is correct, which it could be not, math is sometimes it lose, would be 18 and 20.
Mm-hmm.
So if you took 5 on that.
So it'd be a couple kids in each class.
I'm assuming if it got split evenly, it's hard to say, like, what considerations would be made.
And then I wonder if the
It's
teachers
a good
are,
answer, much.
I wonder if the teachers are taken into account too. So 80 school choice seats for the district, or 14 for BES, or 21 for NES. That means also more funding, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we have 80 more school choice seats funded for the district, then surely we could then look at that potentially if there was an issue, and they would have potential for increased resources needed, right? That's the idea.
Yes.
So if the teachers are like, how can we handle a couple more kids, because they feel kind of overwhelmed, maybe if they knew, if they understood, like, well, this also, school choice also brings money to the district, which helps us to provide more resources overall. So it could at first seem like a lot, but I wonder if they over time would feel, because for me, I think, more kids is great. That's more funding. It looks like it was very thoughtfully done. Not too many kids, even NES, really, you wouldn't have a classroom more of 18 in any class. And they have so many great teaching assistants and all that. And I wonder, and for the 7th through 12th, I mean, more kids in this school would be great for sports, for everything. So I hear what you are saying. In the healthcare world, we think of we add a couple admissions to the floor, and the CNAs are like, what? But a couple more kids, it kind of works out. Or I don't know. I'm not a teacher, but
Right. I just, again, having followed this process for really wanting to be informed and seeking to understand, the seats we would get at BES, we wouldn't have like the Vernon potential or the Warwick potential or the other ones that are negotiated at like an actual tuition rate. We would get the $5,000 per student, and when you look at what the actual cost is to educate a student, for $5,000, if you took on 10, you get $50,000 to the general coffers. It doesn't go to the building it goes in the general fund, but so that's just been historically been how that process works. And because of elementary, you just get a standard school choice slot. We didn't have the capacity, or maybe we could look into to like have the slots like Vernon and here at Pioneer. That makes a lot of sense to take those kids that you have a tuition agreement of $18,000. But for up here, it seems different. Just something I followed.
how do the PVRS teachers feel about the idea?
Annie felt confident about her numbers, but I'll go back to the principals again.
Yeah, I would just, my only question, and it was funny when I first looked at this, was in Bernardston, grades 4, 5, and 6. Only because we know historically students who come here have different needs. And so with BES already having 2 separate classrooms, whether that's for needs-based or behavioral-based, they're already dealing with something, is the
2 classes?
Having a split, right, because of numbers.
Yeah.
But also I'm wondering about additional needs that those split classes already have.
So Principal Burstein she pulled out her clipboard.
Yeah.
She went through all the numbers. But this is why we have these conversations, and this is why we have learned over time that the school choice conversation should take place at least 2 school committee meetings.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So we're refining our process. We'll get the numbers from our current families and see what they are saying. Those numbers have not been completely incorporated here. Kindergarten's not on here. I want to get kindergarten onto here. That's harder. And there's also the possibility of having you vote next meeting on these grades and bringing kindergarten back for a vote later in the spring, maybe once we I want to think more about kindergarten. We'll go back and talk more, and I'll come back with a refined recommendation.
Can I ask a question? It's a question of you, and you may not have the answer to this, but, so if not 5, 3, and 4, is it 0, 0, and 0? Is it 3, 2, and 1? Do you have any sense from your conversations with the teachers at BES what would be a
reasonable number?
Yeah.
They were just, the general feeling was the capacity with 200 plus students in the building. And I understand, historically we've been housing 20 plus students. We've been right beside Pioneer with general school choice slots. Based on my look at it, which could be not true, but I do think I keep a careful look. And there's been times when we've done that. I had an entire class one year of 22
school choice students in kindergarten. Now, I became a kindergarten teacher because we said, oh, let's take on a whole group. So, and then over time, it evolved to like, was it feasible to have an entire teacher, which is 100,000 plus when you put in benefits, was 75 back then.
Yeah.
There's well over 100 now probably, right? Mid-range teacher plus benefits.
Sure.
So that's not feasible. Again, when I like take on 20, you don't get your money back.
Right. Right.
So that was a thought when it first came out, and
Yeah.
it was usually who else was suffering would come. Like again, because we had a great location.
Yes.
So who was in turmoil, who was looking for slots, and so we took advantage at that point. And that is a thing we've done in the past.
Yeah. Thank you.
No, you go.
I have a question about when does kindergarten registration happen? Spring?
When does kindergarten registration
March?
happen?
Yeah, March or April.
March or April?
Yeah. So we wouldn't really have a firm sense of those numbers, how many we know are coming, or so until later in the spring. So
You know, I do feel the need to put out on the table again. We're in the worst budget season of my 5 years here. It's one of the worst, if not the worst, in my administrative career. So, 15-something years. There are very limited ways for the district to generate more revenue. Mrs. Keir is correct. The tuition agreements at Pioneer are that's great. That's far more money than school choice. When we enroll a student via the state school choice program and that student has special needs, we get a special education increment, right? We need to bring in more money. So that's hard. Renee, I hear it completely, and we will go back. I will go back and ask the principals to re-talk with people, and we'll look at the numbers again. And if we are going to pay everybody well, if we are going to have enough money to run the place, the state's not giving us more money, despite our good advocacy for rural aid and opening up the Chapter 70 formula. We got to bring in more money. And one of the few ways we can do it is through school choice, which is why my team is recommending opening up seats in general at the elementary buildings.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, great. I love how this is split into two conversations, between, we're not just getting the numbers tonight and then we have to vote on it, which is how it used to be in the past. And that was really, thank you. And I'm looking forward to see, because I know one current family has already emailed me who said, I really want a slot for a sibling, school choice and so forth. So there are families out there who want to bring their siblings to the school. Okay. All right. Policy review. This is the second reading. I don't have it in my packet.
No, I gave it to you after. Here, do you need one?
It's right
We can
there.
look at it together.
Oh, okay. You got it separate. Okay. Sorry. Thank you. I didn't see that.
So this is the competency determination policy that you discussed at the last meeting. There were no substantive edits requested. There were some grammatical or fixes. There was the first reference to the district needed to be moved up so that when it says the district, similarly with the acronym CD, competency determination, I chose to put in that CD committee. I think that might be it. But I do not, when looking at my record from the last meeting, I do not have any, what's that? There were no substantive changes. It was cleanup.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, wait, there's one I missed. PVRS. In the table where it says aligned courses offered at PVRS, there is not a place where it previously says PVRS. Do I need to put that in?
No,
Is that okay?
I
All
don't
right.
think so, because this is,
Okay.
yeah, no. So I would accept a motion to approve policy IKF, competency determination, to become effective as of January 30th, 2026.
So moved.
Okay. Great. Can we have a second?
Second.
Or one of those will be a second? Second. Okay,
you
great.
go.
Okay.
There you go.
All right.
There you go.
Perfect. All right. Any discussion? Okay. All right, Melissa?
Melissa Osborne, yes.
Raina Dastu, yes.
Gretchen Kelton, yes.
Stephen Martin, yes.
Sharon?
Sharon Fontaine, yes.
And Melissa Gary, yes. Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, budget development update.
So we have Budget 1.0 and Budget 2.0, that's where we are now. And at the last Budget Subcommittee meeting, we presented Budget 2.0. We, as you know, went up to Leiden, Patricia and I did, and Melissa, went up to Leiden Select Board, and we had a great, I thought, a great meeting with them, great conversation about the budget. Last night, we went to Bernardston Select Board, and that was pleasant. And we got to, hear about what their concerns are, what ours are, where we all meet in the middle. Our next budget subcommittee meeting is the 28th of January, and there we'll have Budget 3.0. And by then, we should have the governor's budget, so we can input those numbers. The 2nd of February, we're traveling to the Northfield Select Board, and we will talk to them about Budget 3.0. And let's see, we've got the public hearing on February 5th, and then you'll all decide to vote on the 12th at the school committee meeting. And our information is updated on the website.
Great, thank you. Can we confirm the second? I thought it was the 9th of February.
It was the 9th. It was incorrectly listed as the 9th, but it is the 2nd.
And then B.
okay.
Jacques at the last meeting said it was the 2nd. I was surprised as well.
Okay.
But let me
Okay.
see if it's been changed on our official calendar. Oh, it's not, yeah. Sorry about that. That you should get an invite for that.
Okay, all right. I just keep seeing the 2nd and the 9th, and I just want to make
Okay.
sure I'm at the right place at the right time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Feasibility study and vote. Well, I have been doing some thinking, have had some many conversations with Superintendent Kinsella, and in light of changing circumstances and in light of overall tasks facing the district, I'm actually requesting that we withdraw from the MSBA feasibility study. I'm recommending this because we have a lot of things going on right now, especially the budget, that it's going to be a hard budget year this year. And we have looming over us the 6th town, possibly, and how we're going to handle that. And then we just completed a strategic plan process that we're going to be bringing to school committee and starting to look at what is going to be our 5-year strategic plan. So there's going to be a lot of things going on administratively. And to be frank, our town officials have not been supportive of this process either, and have reached out to the MSBA on their own via phone calls and letters, making their voices heard that they are not in support of this process. And so when thinking about what do we need to focus on as a district right now and where do we need to go, I don't know if I could confidently ask our administrative team to continue to work on this feasibility study, knowing that it's going to be a significant uphill battle. So just, as a reminder, our plan was to fund the feasibility study ourselves, but with the healthcare crisis and the increased monies that we needed to rectify that, we found that it wasn't going to be possible for us to self-fund that. And so going out to the towns, if we voted to incur the debt and then asking them to do it, it would be a lot. It would be a lot on everybody. So I'm disappointed to have to make this recommendation. You know, I spoke last night at the Bernardston Select Board, and I said I wear many hats in this community. One of them is the school committee chair, in which my goal is to what is best for this district. And I think moving forward with the feasibility study is in the best interest of this district. And I'm also a Bernardston resident. And also having to look at what we are asking our administrative team to do every single day. And it's a lot. What brings me a lot of joy and pride is that Superintendent Kinsella had a phone call this morning and in the past, and it is so clear that the district did everything we needed to do in the right way for this process, and they made it very clear that there's no negative impact if we decide to withdraw and choose to re-enter into a feasibility study later in the process. The MSBA is really impressed with our district and all of the materials that we put together for the SOI. So that plays in our favor, and that just is another little tip to administration of their hard work. And so given all of this, I think that it is in our best interest to consider removing the district from the MSBA process so we can focus our energies on approving the budget, engaging with a possible vote later in the spring or whenever about the 6-town merger, and then the implementation of our strategic plan. So that is where I am coming from tonight for a recommendation. I'm happy to hear your thoughts.
Slow and steady wins the race.
Slow and steady wins the race. Yeah.
Thanks for all the work you've all done on that.
Yeah.
And it's great that we can do it again later. We can always do it later.
It is.
Sounds like a responsible.
It's disheartening.
Yeah.
It's disheartening. Yeah. Yep. Sharon?
Yes, I thought a long time about this as well, and my concerns for the needs of the school in Northfield were very heavy. But also, I heard the concerns from the town select board and the budget planning. And I was so pleased of the hard work that our superintendent had put into this. Very hard decision, but the right one. I think you have made a good choice, Melissa, and I thank you so much for your perseverance and your well thought out plan.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Raina?
So I think, I don't know that this is anything new, but I really would love to see the district moving forward with this process. It would be wonderful to see what comes of it, but I also am aware of the realities of the financial situations that the towns are in, that the districts are facing right now. We were thrown a big curveball last year, and in many ways. There's been loss of funding from the federal level on down, the loss of funding on the state level. the health insurance crisis, and that's having an impact on everybody. And so it is, to echo your words, disappointing, and it's hard. It's also, you know, it's also, I think, probably the right thing to do.
Thank you. So the vote, do we take a vote to withdraw or do we not?
do.
Yeah, I think, okay. So, I would accept a motion to withdraw from the MSBA, study for, Northfield Elementary School. Yeah. So moved. So Sharon moved. Thank you. Second from Melissa.
Melissa Osborne, yes.
Okay.
All right. Raina Dastu, yes.
Gretchen Kelton, yes.
Stephen Martin, yes.
Sharon Fontaine, yes.
Melissa Gary, yes. Okay. Thank you. And I really want to thank again the amount of hours and work you have put in, administrative team. I mean, I just, to come to this point, you know, we made the right decision, right? But the amount of work is recognized.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
okay, so I do not have any other business anticipated. Upcoming meetings, we have a budget subcommittee meeting on the 28th at 6 o'clock here in the library. Northfield Select Board meeting, February 2nd at 6 p.m. That is not a full school committee meeting, so administration and myself will go. We welcome other school committee members to join us in the audience if you want or tune in, but it is not a school committee meeting, just so you know. The FY27 budget hearing is February 5th at 6 o'clock. And then our next regularly scheduled school committee meeting is February 12th at 6 p.m. I will accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay. All right. And seconded. And
Melissa Osborne, yes.
Raina Dastu, yes.
Gretchen Kelton, yes.
Stephen Martin, yes.
Sharon.
Fontaine, yes.
Melissa Gary, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.